WA Production and Liminal Sphere are proud to present Loop Engine 3. This is the ultimate plugin for loop generation. A MIDI powerhouse that is designed to inspire song ideas, spark creativity, and elevate your tracks to the next level. The all-new version 3 of Loop Engine features cutting-edge enhancements to workflow, refined voice selection, and a suite of new polyrhythmic and note-splitting tools, not forgetting the standout features that have always made Loop Engine such an expressive generator for melodic and chordal loops. The intuitive circular interface encourages experimentation and exploration, creating captivating sequences for your virtual instruments, either playable in the plugin itself or ready to drag and drop into your DAW. Specifically new to Loop Engine 3, there are graphical interface and workflow optimization changes, with direct switching between loop, chord, and voice views. Easily send voices to the listener plugin via MIDI tracks with the color-coded rack. Rhythmic shaping allows stretching or shortening of individual notes beyond chord shapes. Temporal offset fine-tunes the micro-timing of notes. Experiment and audition with the new undo function. Updates to polyrhythm features and enhanced help options round out the improved Loop Engine 3 experience. So let's dive in, and to demonstrate what Loop Engine 3 can do, I'll be using this project, which uses Loop Engine 3 to generate 8 different voices, fed to different instruments. All of the MIDI for the synth parts of this track has been generated by Loop Engine 3. The drag to export function has been used to export the MIDI from Loop Engine straight into our DAW, a simple matter of dragging and dropping. But for now, let's delete all of this MIDI and have Loop Engine 3 drive the whole track in real time. Here I've got Loop Engine 3 on the first track, the master, with the 8 voice outputs split out to various different synth patches. Let's click through and solo each of the voices, and I'll show you which instruments are being played by which voice. The great thing about having all these voices connected to one instance of Loop Engine 3 is that changes to chords, voicings, and notes in Loop Engine 3 can cascade down to an entire project. To find out how to connect Loop Engine to your DAW as a MIDI effect, click on the bulb icon, which will show simple guides for all major DAW platforms. There's also in-plugin help available. Just click here, and whenever you hover your mouse over a control, an explanation will appear. First up, the new features of Loop Engine 3. This update brings with it a slew of new workflow options, some making it much easier to understand how to control Loop Engine. The 3 view modes are now across the top of the interface: chord, loop, and voice. Previous versions of Loop Engine had these same views, but they were accessed in a different way. We've streamlined things to make it much easier to understand how to control Loop Engine. Loop view could be considered the main one. Here is where you can generate chords, or choose them from the preset menu. adjust the overall key, octave, and loop speed. Plus choose which of the 4 notes of each chord will play. And add and remove chord changes, all which should be familiar to previous users of Loop Engine. With Chord View, you can get deep into adjusting individual parameters of single chords. You can also access this view by clicking the inner dots. Each of the up to 8 chords can have an octave, inversion, range spread, and velocity. Choose simple or advanced modes to access chord type, function, and tension. With the exact chord type shown just here. Voice View is where things have changed quite a bit. As you saw in the previous project, you can run up to 8 voices simultaneously, with the different voices now accessible at the bottom of the interface just here. Each one is numbered and color-coded and matches with the Loop Engine Listener plugin, which you insert on each instrument track in your DAW. In this way, the listener receives the MIDI from Loop Engine 3. Just make sure that the voice number you choose on the Listener plugin matches with the MIDI that you want to send from Loop Engine. One voice can go to multiple instruments in your DAW. Just choose the same voice number. There are also useful solo and mute buttons for isolating or excluding specific voices. Just like previous versions of Loop Engine, you can choose to play chords or partition chords into individual notes, choosing the number of partitions and clicking to turn notes on and off. But now, notes can extend beyond their original chords to craft complex rhythms and transitions. Just drag to connect partitions and run them into chords before or after their original one. Also new, you can now option click to split a long note up into smaller partitions. If you make a mistake, or just want to experiment and go back, use the new undo and redo buttons. If you need to really get into the weeds with melodies and notes, an entire piano roll is available just here. This is where you can import note patterns and program them yourself across all octaves, with options for repetitions and partitions. Don't forget, you can skip much of the programming by browsing tagged voice presets just here. And also save your own presets just here. New to Loop Engine 3 is Temporal Offset, or Shift. This fine-tunes note onsets with precise adjustments. You can shift notes forward or backwards, allowing for greater flexibility in rhythm creation. This function is also useful for instruments like strings, where you might need to compensate for longer attack times. Or genres that need a laid-back style, such as down-tempo lo-fi. few more cool things about Loop Engine 3 that you might not already know. The updated polyrhythm function just here can take a note riff and repeat it continuously, weaving amongst different chord shapes as it plays. It's now super easy to set a partition value, loop point, and choose some notes. Then let Poly Mode do its thing. Auxiliary options have been given a facelift, inserting passing notes between chord changes. Within the Loop Engine Listener plugin and per voice, you can now opt to run auxiliary notes in 3 different ways, regardless of the AAX settings in Loop Engine 3. Either force notes, turn them off, or activate only the auxiliary notes that Loop Engine 3 is sending. This means you could have multiple instruments playing from the same voice, handling auxiliary notes in different ways, and get very creative. Within your DAW, you can automate and modulate almost any parameter of Loop Engine 3, making for some complex and intense MIDI generation, if you so wish. Be sure to check out the Loop Engine 3 manual to learn all of the other elements of this transformative plugin. With so many updated features and workflow enhancements that make loop creation a seamless experience, Loop Engine 3 can provide endless inspiration. Check out the trial version now at WA Production, and thanks for watching.